All right. So some things you need to know about the Dual Composition 1 class. First of all, please call me Mrs. Q. That's my dog, Bubba. Course objectives. By the time you finish this course, you should have the skills that you need for other college courses, particularly writing assignments. Okay. These include developing and supporting a central idea and in logical order using clean, professional sounding sentences. And of course, you should be able to write a complete sentence with correct grammar and mechanics and everything. You should also be able to write a college resource paper. And that's going to involve some other things like using credible and relevant sources correctly to support your ideas. And by correct, I mean paraphrasing, quoting them properly, and giving them the proper citation. Now, for course expectations, there are some things I expect, but some things that you should also know as well. Missing instruction is a big problem. You can see if you follow this chart that it ends up hurting your grade in the end. If you are absent, if you, well, you don't want to skip any lessons. You don't want to skip any instructional videos that I leave for you. Look at the PowerPoints, read the announcements that I leave, and even if you don't get a grade on them, do all the assignments because they're all important practice that you get feedback on. And if you don't do any of that, it is going to hurt your grade in the long run. If you're confused about something, I want you to let me know. If you're having problems submitting something or you just don't understand the technology, or if you have a family emergency or a medical emergency or something that's an emergency, keep me in the loop, and remind is the best way to get a hold of me. And I need you to get a hold of me right away for something like that. Assignments need to be turned in on time at all times, unless there's an emergency that you notify me about in a timely fashion. And you shouldn't have more than one emergency, by the way. Okay. Now, for scheduled absences, such as let's say that you have a track meet or a doctor's appointment or something, you know about those in advance. And so you need to talk to me in advance. Your assignments are still due, even if you're out of town. So you need to collect your materials before you leave, make sure you understand the deadlines, and make a plan so that you can turn that stuff in. Okay. Sometimes we don't know that we're going to be absent, but if you are absent, I need you to let me know right away, so that I can make sure that you have what you need and that you can turn in your assignments on time. If you are absent on the day something's due, you don't get an extra day to turn it in. It's still due that day. All right. So make sure that we plan accordingly. Now, what are we going to be using? I'm pleased to announce that this is now an OER course, which means Open Education Resources, which means that we'll be using our books will be online and for free. Okay, so you always have access to them as long as you've got internet. Now, some other things that you're gonna need. You're gonna need electricity, at least enough to charge up your whatever device it is that you're working. You need Wi-Fi or internet access during class time so that we can meet. And when you're submitting something or when you're downloading an assignment. You also need a computer with, I've got Microsoft Word there with an asterisk. It doesn't have to be Microsoft Word, it could be Google Docs, but it shouldn't be the kind of writing programs that are in iPad and the Mac computers because they're just not compatible with Canvas, which is our platform. Okay, so it's not going to work. Okay, you're also going to need to be on top of your high school email and password because you need that to log into Google Classroom, which is how we're going to be holding our classes through Google Classroom. Um, the other thing that you're going to need is your TSC email and password, and because you're not going to be able to access Canvas without it. And if you can't access Canvas, you can't turn in your materials. You can't get a lot of the announcements I'm leaving for you. Okay. You also need to have access to Google Classroom and access to a Google Drive. All right. You will have access to a Google Drive through the high school. I've also got that you should have some PDF software on whatever device that you're using. You don't have to have anything that you can write on it with necessarily, although that helps, but you need it so that you can read some of the PDFs that you're assigned. Okay. And you don't have to have a phone, but I know most of you have one. And if you do, I need you to set up your high school and your TSC emails on your phone with notifications, because I know you people look at your phones all the time, and this way you're going to get your notifications. Also set it up so that you get remind notifications, because I use that quite frequently. Okay.